I'm Lance Mabus. I'm going to present 3 strategies that General Electric can use in 2021 to improve their profitability. So let's get started. First, a little bit about General Electric, some company history. In the 20th century, it was probably the preeminent American company, founded by Thomas Edison, inventor of the light bulb, led to the electrification of the entire United States and the globe, and played a huge role in American history in the 20th century. But the 21st century has not been so kind to General Electric. And the start of 2019 actually had rumblings of General Electric needing potentially going into bankruptcy, leading to their first ever outside chief executive officer, Larry Culp. Now, this is important. General Electric had always used insiders prior to Larry Culp coming on board, but the situation had gotten so out of hand that they needed to bring in outside support. So what was wrong with the company? This chart captures a lot of the issue. Their debt to equity ratio was off the charts relative to their peers. So in this chart, you see Danaher and Medtronic in dashed lines hovering around 1.0 for their debt to equity ratio, which is perfectly acceptable. 2.0 is kind of pushing it, where creditors might not be comfortable issuing new debt. You see General Electric at one point got as high as 8 on that ratio. So dangerous level of debt, in particular pension obligations. So Larry Culp came in and started cleaning house right away, leading to retrenchment to narrow diversification. So he sold GE Biopharma back to Danaher, his former company, for $21.1 billion. They sold GE Lighting, divested from Baker Hughes, and began to focus on their core industrial sectors. And those sectors are gas or power, which includes gas and nuclear, renewables, wind turbines, and hydroelectric. Healthcare, focused on large CT machines, MRI machines, and other healthcare-related services, and jet engines for aviation. So power, renewables, healthcare, and aviation are the industrial core of GE. Let's talk about those industries that GE is in, just so we have a sense of where they're at. All 4 of them are very competitive industries. There are only a few customers in each of those industries. Major hospital systems are the ones that are buying a lot of the healthcare machines. Sovereign wealth funds and public utilities are snapping up the power and renewable options, and major airlines are their purchasers for aviation products. And while each of those industries is unique and has specific key success factors, there are some broad key success factors that we can talk about. So, each of those industries, you need to have the best technology. Price is not really something you're going to compete on. You're going to have the best technology. And that means it has to be reliable and it has to be efficient. In addition to that, your company has to have a strong engineering reputation that allows customers to know that you will have a long-term commitment to them and that your products are the best out there. And that brand can be impacted, by any one of those entities if they're not putting out high-quality products. That can have cross effects with the other brands. So let's talk about GE in particular. Do a little SWOT analysis of GE. What are their strengths? Well, looking back to that last slide. Their key strength is making big things, and in particular, big things that spin. And their strengths go along with that. Anything that's involved in making those big things that spin, process innovation, all of the project management that goes along with it. Those are the strengths of GE. Where are their weaknesses? Their weaknesses are in the 21st century in financial management, in debt. So that's really what's gotten the company into trouble. Their financial management over the last 30 years has led to dire straits in what Stephen Youssef from JP Morgan said would require $25 billion in new equity. There are opportunities for GE out there. The global need for electricity is increasing. Health systems throughout the developing world are modernizing. And we live in a time where there is fast-paced and emerging technologies coming out all the time. And if you catch the next wave, you can go from being behind to being in front, just like you go from being in front like they were to being behind. So let's. There are some double-edged swords that are opportunities and threats. One of those is climate change. Let's talk about the opportunities right now. Nuclear and hydropower and renewables, wind turbines and hydropower will be huge opportunities for GE. But climate change is also a threat to GE. It threatens their gas business and their aviation business. In addition to that, international competition, globalization, is a threat to GE. Developing world countries want to move up the value chain. China is not, they're not satisfied anymore with making, low-end plastic goods. They as a country have set a goal of producing some of these high-end, high industrial goods, and that's a real threat to companies like GE in the long run, especially since China has the geopolitical clout through the Belt and Road Initiative to get their companies in the door in the developing world. So that's the SWOT analysis for GE. Let's talk a little bit about Culp in 2019. He had two goals: to strengthen the core businesses and to strengthen the balance sheet of GE. And then in 2020, he added the third goal: driving long-term profitable growth. And I think that's an acknowledgement by Culp that he had already kind of met those first two goals through a strategy of retrenchment to narrow diversification. And so he needed a new goal. Those first two goals, you still have to work on them, but this new goal will drive the need for new strategic thinking. And so here are a couple options that GE could pursue. First is just a generic strategy, being a focused differentiator. Make it clear to everyone in the company that they need to be the best. Okay, by default, because of the nature of the products that GE offers, they're necessarily going to be in a focused market segment. There are, like we mentioned, there are only so many customers for large healthcare machines. There are only so many customers for gas power plants. You're talking sovereign wealth funds and major public utilities. So by default, they need to be focused. And as we said earlier, those aren't businesses that you want to compete on price in. So you want to compete on the best technology, the best implementation, the best customer service, the best repair times and response times. Everything, the whole package, everyone in GE needs to be working together on that front. So focus differentiation, I think there's no other choice for GE. They have to pursue that strategy. In addition, I think GE needs to pursue blue ocean strategies. I have 4 ideas that I would throw out on the board and see what people think. One of them is nuclear fusion technology. That is absolutely a blue ocean opportunity. If you can achieve nuclear fusion, and there are companies working towards it, there do seem to be technologies that could get us there. If someone actually achieves that goal, that's a huge threat to GE's other businesses. So I think they need to pursue that blue ocean to get to that promised land before someone else. Another blue ocean strategy they need to pursue is in technology, and in particular, AI, neural nets, are something that every major company in the world should be looking at and thinking, how can my systems be improved by using AI and neural nets? If they who knows, if they start working down that path, maybe they can find products to sell outside of that particular domain. Another blue ocean strategy that GE could pursue, and these are, I'll finish with 2 that are maybe more in their wheelhouse. We're kind of going least practical to most practical. Cryptocurrency. GE produces electricity. Bitcoin is essentially a stand-in for electricity. That's what proof of work requires. You need to be able to have electricity. If you have efficient ways to produce electricity, you can efficiently mine Bitcoin. So GE could maybe have tie-ins with their power plant systems where on off-peak load times, Maybe you're mining cryptocurrency, supporting the Bitcoin network or other cryptocurrency networks, and that would be a way to potentially add value to those networks and to GE. And then the final blue ocean strategy that I would pursue, and this is, like I said, the most practical blue ocean strategy, and that's carbon storage, or carbon capture and storage, and energy storage. So GE is very good at making big things that spin. If you want to take carbon out of the air, out of the atmosphere, big things that spin can move a lot of air, and when you're doing that, you can have chemical systems or other processes that remove the carbon dioxide. You can store it, and you can use perhaps you'd have to run the numbers to see if it was feasible, but you could potentially even use compressed air storage as power storage. And compressed air storage has some environmental benefits over battery storage, which is being pushed out on the grid. Battery storage requires lots of rare minerals and not very expensive to produce those batteries. So perhaps GE could use their big things that spin in other ways, and that's how blue ocean strategies could benefit GE. The last strategy goes right at the heart of the issue. They have to acknowledge the elephant. It's acknowledge the elephant strategy. The thing that's holding GE back is their debt, their pension obligations. And so right now they're trying to create all of this growth. Why are they trying to create that? It's not to get the dividend back. It's not to do these, to grow the company so they can meet their debt obligations. Well, that's not a long-term solution for the company. And so strategy meets the issue head on and says go right to the pension obligations and offer cash lump sums to get out from under those pension obligations. Now GE has attempted that in the past, but they've offered pensioners, from what I see publicly, about half of what their pension was worth to them. So not a very valuable proposition, but maybe GE didn't have the cash to do that for all of their pensioners. So here's the strategy, Larry Culp. If a pensioner, if you would owe them $200,000 over the course of their expected pension, offer them $100,000 like you were doing before, and fill the remaining space, right, the remaining $100,000 with warrants on your common stock. It would dilute the common shareholders if GE's stock goes up, but you could get there's a package you could offer those pensioners to get out from under those obligations, and there's a way to do it with warrants and common stock offerings and cash that I think you could capture the majority of those pensioners, get them off of your books. You end up diluting the equity shareholders, but in the long run, huge benefits just from getting out from under that debt, and that would allow those other strategies to work more effectively. So those are my strategy proposals for GE for 2021. Thank you very much.